Hello, everyone, and welcome to Gamer Bargain. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about crypto mining and how some things that you should be considering before even building your crypto rig. And these are some things that you need to research so that way you can make a better informed decision on how big of a rig you can have and how many watts is it going to pull. So let's dive right into this video today. So the first thing we're going to talk about is going to be the GPU shortage. So there is a massive GPU shortage right now because we're in a bull market and everybody wants the 30 series cards and all the miners are buying all current cards that can mine right now. So uh, unless you can get it for the regular MSRP, I wouldn't recommend buying anything for double or triple the price because if you're using it for crypto, you're not going to make your money back. It's going to take too long and it's going to be too risky of an investment. I recommend at about 100 days should be your ROI on the initial investment of the graphic card. So one option would be to either use Facebook Marketplace or OfferUp, where you can usually, haggle with people and talk people down on their prices. So that would probably be your best option in this case, right now. So let's take a look at something else that you need to look at before you start, getting into, building your rig. You got to figure out what circuit in your house that your rig will be on. The double T's here are usually for major appliances like, the oven, and the washer and the dryer and stuff like that. But you're going to be using probably one of these single breakers, right? And you could have a GFCI breaker. This is just a breaker panel image I pulled up just to use as a reference. So, and this is a 20 amp breaker, it says, right? So, to figure out how many watts we can pull from this, you take the amps times the volts. So, 120 volts times 20 amps gives you 2,400 watts, right? But that's the max that it can handle, right? So, and let's say your rig, you know, consumes like 1,200 watts, right? You got a really good size rig, like an 8 GPU rig, right? You need to think about what else is on this circuit right here because let's say you got like a heater and a TV and some lights and all this other stuff that's on that circuit, it's gonna make it trip every time. Every time your mining rig comes on, starts mining, you turn on one of those other things and it's just gonna flip the breaker off. So that's something you need to be concerned, you need to be careful on how much stuff you're using on that circuit and do you have headroom to add that mining rig to that circuit. So I recommend doing like smaller rigs. Like I have a 5 GPU RX 570 rig. It was 6. I had problems with the 6 one, so I put it in a separate rig on its own and I put it somewhere else out, in the house. So you need to watch where you're going to be putting this on your circuit to save yourself from having electrical issues. And I recommend also to get a kilowatt meter, which is a little meter that you you plug into the wall, and then you plug, your I plug my surge protector in, and then that's where all my computer stuff is plugged into. But it will give you an exact amount of what is being drawn from the wall because the software is not always right. If in the software it says your whole rig's taking up, say, 480 watts, it's just counting the graphics card. It's not counting the motherboard, the CPU, the RAM, and everything else. And usually, if it says you're using, say each card's like, 80 watts or something like that, you need to add 20 or 30 more watts per card because usually the software is a little incorrect. So that's something to also keep in mind. Now, another thing that you need to keep in mind is that I've been building computers off and on for a long time now, like at least 10 to 15 years, and I'm pretty comfortable with building them. I usually never run into any problems. And I built mine all the way right. Now, one of my risers was bad, and one of the GPUs went up in smoke, right? So I bought them new and I got my warranty issued through the manufacturer. But if you bought a used card and it smokes it, you're out of that money and you're not gonna like it. So something I did is after that situation happened, is I bought a cheap GTX 750, just a little, just a little card to put in the little PCIe 16 slot here, and just to test each riser. That way, if it burns that card up, I could care less. Another thing to watch out for is you're going to want to make sure you plug in all these little cables right here. But even if you plug all this stuff in right and everything goes well, you could have problems with Hive OS, having Hive OS detect your system. You could have some kind of drivers issues. I mean, and then you have the underclock, oh, undervolt overclock. And if you're using AMD cards like the 5 RX 570s or the 5600 XTs, you're also going to should BIOS mod so that way you can gain more hash power. So if you're not good at troubleshooting and this seems a little out of your realm, then maybe you shouldn't crypto mine. You could always go to cloud mining, which is you buy hash power and you do it on a contract, and then you buy the hash power for so long, and then you can hash on that way. Because I'm telling you, my rigs have been up for quite a while now, but every now and then there's a little hiccup, and you have to be willing to troubleshoot. And I suggest maybe joining a Discord group. I joined the Boss Coin Discord group, good group of guys, and they're pretty helpful most of the time. So, but troubleshooting is a big thing with crypto mining. You can run into all kinds of issues with drivers. You might even you could not even do the BIOS mod right and and brick your GPU, which means it's virtually useless. So these are some things to consider before you get into crypto mining. It does seem very simple, but it can be very complicated as well. So those are just some of my things I think you should consider before maybe even making your crypto rig. If you have some questions, just leave them in the comments down below. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and I'll be doing some more content on crypto mining in the future.